all cameras claim to be smart and be able to give you a lot of information, but the Bosch camera today with the advanced analytics is able to do it another step further. And can you explain a little bit about how we do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So all cameras take pictures, of course. That's the core competency of a camera. But Bosch cameras also take notes. But more importantly, with these latest AI-driven analytics, we can take much more detailed and accurate notes about the scene. So not just what objects exist in the scene, but actually individual granular attributes about those objects that give us a much richer detail about what's happening in a given scene.
So at the end of the day, I know a lot of people will say, well, if we want this advanced analytics, what do we have to do? Meaning, do we have to change camera out? Do we have to add firmware? And I guess it's a two-part question too, because we need the processing of the camera to be able to do the advanced analytics, but a lot of times if you already have that camera that has the processor, it's a firmware upgrade a lot of times. It's much easier and simpler than a lot of people think.
Oh, you're absolutely right. So yes, the prerequisite is you have to have a camera that has a chipset that can run some of these neural network-based detectors. However, we do see iterative improvements virtually every quarter that can then be deployed to those cameras, and we're also seeing more and more application-specific sets, so you can actually deploy different analytics on two similar hardware types, but because of their uses, they may require a different analytics set. So this is just a basic representation of the attributes component. So for years, we were excited just to be able to detect cars and trucks and people. Here, we're going to detect people, but also specific information about them. So we can see our Bosch camera up here. It's taking a picture of everybody who stands on the mark. And when I stand on the mark, it's going to give a real-time representation of me. I'm a little bit grayer than I'd like to be, but and you can also see quite a lot of detail. So when I add the glasses, you'll see very quickly the avatar updates. So
that's amazing.
This is one example of those granular attributes I told you about, but people aren't the end of the story. We're also doing these additional attributes for things like vehicles, license plates, and using that data to drive dashboards and information mining.
Gotcha. I mean, like you say, at the end of the day, I know we've talked about the Bosch camera is no longer a camera, it's a sensor. And the reasoning behind it is, yeah, it produces an awesome video, it has analytics, but now it takes it a step further. And I guess there's no endpoint at this point of what we're going to be able to do in the future with all this technology.
Yeah, like I said, Bosch cameras take pictures, but they also take notes. So we're essentially generating two streams. And I don't mean two streams in the sense of stream 1 and stream 2 from the video, but we're producing video data, but we're also producing that metadata, those notes about what's happening. And those can be ingested into entirely different platforms than the standard VMSs and sort of legacy systems that we've had for a few years.
And I guess, I even have some customers now talking about is, we may not even want the video because, again, depending on where they're putting the camera and stuff like that, they may not have the bandwidth. They want the metadata. They want the information more than the video anymore.
You make an interesting point. One of the things that we're looking at with some of these people attributes is, as you've seen, we can demonstrate or replicate an avatar of the real person there, but it's anonymized inherently because it's no longer a picture of me, it's a representation of me. And so that's a perfect example of what you're saying, where the data is actually the important part, more so than the picture.
Well, needless to say, you want information, you can get in touch with Matt C. You can go to the Bosch website. You can also contact us at support@midchest.com.